the beginning of this year, we spent 3 weeks in Flores, Indonesia. We went from the capital city of Labuan Bajo all the way to Mamare and everywhere in between.
The island boasts amazing views and things to do, but lacks a lot of infrastructure that most tourists take for granted.
Before we got there, we did do our research and found that it was pretty tricky. There wasn't much information online and we were struggling to even find how to get from city to city.
So in this video, we want to go through everything we learned on the 3 weeks we were there, as well as share some helpful tips and tricks that we picked up along the way. Where is Flores?
Flores is an island in the East Nusa Tenggara region. The capital city of Labuan Bajo was a small fishing village for most of its existence. It then exploded as a tourism hub with some incredible diving locations.
The biggest attraction by far in the region is Komodo National Park, which is where you can see the only living link to dinosaurs, the Komodo dragons.
Dutch settlers that first got there literally called them land crocodiles because they're so big. All flights to the island are smaller national flights, so if you are coming internationally, you'll have to go through Bali or Java to get there.
Once you get to Indonesia, actually getting to Flores is quite easy. There are multiple airlines that fly there multiple times a day.
Those internal national flights almost exclusively do not include baggage, so you'll have to be paying extra for that baggage. Sometimes, depending where you book it from, you can't actually pay for that package until you get to the airport, and it can get pretty expensive.
One hack though, if you book through a third party, try to log into like AirAsia or CityLink with your PNR, because that's how we ended up adding baggage at a cheaper rate than we would have paid at the airport.
First tip of the video.
Yeah.
Nice. Getting there. Our internal flights routed through Bali and it cost us about 90 Australian dollars per person, including luggage, to get there one way.
One thing to keep in mind as well is that the weather changes pretty quickly around Flores, so your flights may be cancelled like ours was. If you are at the Labuan Bajo airport and that happens to you, go outside, go downstairs to where there's like a food court thing and you can book on with whichever airline is still running for the day. AirAsia cancelled on us twice, CityLink cancelled on us once, and then we got on board with Lion Air.
With Lion Air.
Which, for some reason, booking it last minute at the airport actually worked out cheaper.
Yeah, which is crazy. So if all else fails, you might actually get a better price than pre-booking.
Traveling around Flores.
This is probably the thing that was on my mind the most when I was trying to plan our trip around Flores, because there's not really any information online at all. I would constantly be thinking, what if there's literally no transport between places and all we could do is motorbike? What if we get taken advantage of? We don't know how much things should cost. What if we have horrible weather that means we can't go somewhere? And what if we miss out on some of the important things that we really want to see?
I can say with confidence that if you are stressing like we were, you can stop. Labuan Bajo and Flores as a whole is one of those places that you can't find much information about online, but as soon as you get there, everyone you talk to is like, yeah, that's no problem. Oh, just wait till the morning. Like, everything is so chill and relaxed, and there is a good chance it's gonna work out for you.
Some of the options that we did come across when we got there was obviously the renting of a motorbike or a moped. Pretty common because you can get one-way fares that take you from one side of the island to the other. Generally, $6 to $12 per day, depending who you go with. Be mindful, the roads are not great. There's potholes everywhere and it can be a little bit of a rough ride if you're a beginner, so we didn't even want to attempt it. One benefit of doing it if you can is it allows you to go to accommodation that's a little bit further out from the main drag, so you can drive up into the mountains and get a nice view and a cheaper accommodation, maybe even a better quality accommodation.
The second option to get you around the island is to catch a BMO. These are the more cheap local sort of version of transports across the island. They kind of just look like a converted van that has had the seats ripped out and 2 rows facing each other put in. They can be jam-packed.
They're also painted really vibrant colors. You can't really miss them. I think they're more for intercity travel, but they do kind of go everywhere.
One of the biggest negatives is that they don't really have any schedule that they run on. So it's kind of just like, oh yeah, enough people want to go here, I'll go there. The option that we took advantage of the most is a shared taxi, and it's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's either a car or a van. There's pros and cons to every option, but the biggest pro of having a shared taxi is that you get picked up at your accommodation and you get dropped off at your accommodation.
The bus typically isn't an open air like the BMO, so you do get air conditioning, which is great in the summer.
They will probably stop if you need them to as well. This is more of an option where you have a bit of control, like if you want to pull over and go to a supermarket, just ask. If you need to get some cash out to pay them, obviously they're going to stop to let you do that as well.
While this was the method we used the most, we were concerned about how we booked them pretty much until we got there. And immediately we just asked our first hostel, hey, we need to get to this city on this date. And they just said, no worries. And they handed us a WhatsApp number. Everything is pretty much done and organized through WhatsApp. It doesn't feel very official, but it is official.
One tip on this as well is if your hotel doesn't have a contact for whatever reason, or their contact is wildly overpriced, just maybe reach out to a different hotel in the area and see if they have anyone going in the same direction.
Bear in mind with this share taxi option as well, even though they go as close to your door as possible, there are really tight roads around the island, so sometimes they'll drop you maybe 100 meters from the door, so just be mindful.
Or if you've picked a hotel that's like 20 k's from the city centre, they might just need an extra $5-10 to get you there. I think that's reasonable.
The most expensive and most luxurious option is, of course, just to get a private car. This is the option that the locals typically assume that you're gonna want, so they do sell it pretty hard when you land. It is a private air-conditioned car, usually a nice one, a personal driver who stays with you the whole time, and obviously you can customize and make any stops you wanna make. But it's anywhere from like $80 to $120 a day just to have them, which I know is really cheap compared to other places in the world, but it was just way over our budget.
The final option is renting a car and driving yourself. I probably wouldn't suggest this option just because I don't think I would have felt confident enough driving through the streets that we had to go on. If you did rent a car, you'd be sort of restricted to like the highways and the main tourist destinations.
We've rented cars through heaps of countries and it is one of my favorite things to do, so we were really close to doing it. But like Emily said, some of these one-way roads that have potholes everywhere, it's just something that I didn't really want to tackle. Plus, there's no guarantee that your GPS is going to work, so actually getting to the place is going to be difficult anyway. And a third reason, you're not going to be driving anywhere near as fast as those locals drive on those roads. So it's going to take you longer every day to get where you need to go. Things to do in Flores.
We clearly can't cover everything there is to do in Flores because the list would go on and on and on, but we are going to talk about all of the activities that we did.
A lot of the activities that people are interested in doing are quite focused around the Labuan Bajo area, which is great, but we do encourage you to get out and explore some other stuff.
Some of our favorite memories were from outside of Labuan Bajo.
The first thing and the biggest thing, the Komodo Islands.
From our research and walking around the island, we found that there are basically 3 options that everyone tends to do. The first is a slow boat tour. This is what we did. It's the cheapest, but you see the least things.
We did make an entire video about it, so if you want to know what it's like, go look at that. That's about $60 per person. Again, we're not the best hagglers, so it could have been cheaper. We did talk to people that did get it a little bit cheaper than us, but roughly around 60 depending how you go haggling.
The second option is a speedboat. So you basically get the whole day tour, but you see 6 sites instead of 4.
The speedboat tours do see more, but they do cost you a little bit more. So you're probably looking at around the $100 per person mark. The third option is the most popular option. It's the overnight cruises. You can do 1 or 2 night overnight cruises where you join a bunch of other travelers and you go on the boat together. A big plus about doing this is that you're waking up on the boat right next to the island, so you're getting first access before all the tourists get to Komodo Island. You also get like the boat vibes and you get to bond with the people that you're with, which is quite cool, but you do pay the price.
Another interesting thing is that they do have like dorm hostel style options. So if you're traveling solo, you could get a single bunk in a room of 4 and it's relatively cheap.
The price we have is for a private room, so for 2 of us, you'd be looking at 175 Australian dollars per person for a 2-night cruise. The variations are all over the place, but you can use that as kind of a benchmark.
Tip as well is when you're walking down the main street and talking to all of the tour operators, ask them for photos of the boat because the variation in the quality, I guess, of the boat is kind of insane.
The final option is, of course, the most expensive one. You can charter your own boat. So if you've got a decently big group, it could be worth paying and getting the boat to yourself. Those prices vary dramatically, but it's a lot more.
One thing to remember about these prices is that it does not include your entrance into Komodo National Park. When we travelled in early 2023, it cost us 40 Australian dollars for both of us to get entrance into the park. I do believe there's been a lot of talk that that's going to change, whether it has or not, it's anyone's guess.
It was going to go up to an incredible amount. It was going to be a few $100 US per person. From what I'm looking at now, it looks like it did go up, but not so dramatically. So you're looking at just under about $100 US per person, which is super steep, but it's the only place in the world where you can see the Komodo dragons.
One note on Komodo Island, is just to be prepared. It might not actually be what you're hoping for, which was the case for us. Like, I think I had in mind that it was this national park and like we were just walking around and hopefully we would get to see one on this hike, but they're sort of all just laying around and it's almost like they're trained to be here. I don't know. It's just not what I thought. It's more of a photo opportunity with Komodo dragons. It just felt a bit fake, a bit forced, a bit unnatural.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing, unfortunately. But once you're ready to leave Labuan Bajo, there is so much more on the island you can see. We took a shared taxi from Labuan all the way to Ratang, which is a little mountain village kind of in the middle of the island. We stopped in Ratang because ultimately we wanted to go to a town called Moni where the Mount Kelamutu volcano is, but it's such a long drive, we needed to break it up. So Ratang was the perfect option.
We opted to pay for a private car in Ratang and he took us around to see Hobbit Cave, the local market, the spiderweb rice fields, which are just amazing. You see the photos and if I'm honest, I was like, oh, give or take, like I'm not too fussed on seeing them. But once you're up there, it's kind of incredible to see it.
Pretty cool. We also got to go to a traditional village. A lot of people go to a town called Wairebo, which is a bit further south. That's really cool. You have to hike there, so it's a little bit harder to reach, but I think the payoff would be awesome. We couldn't afford the time to get there, so we went to a traditional village in Ratang, which is really cool. Very easy to get to, so not quite the majesty of Wairebo, but it was nice.
At least we got to check off traditional village.
Yeah. That driver we actually got at our hostel. So our host was awesome and our host's husband was like, yeah, I'll take you around. And we negotiated price and they were just super nice, so we did it. It ended up costing us $80 to have a driver for the entire day.
And then we ended up having lunch with their family. It was such a nice experience. And the good thing about having your own private car like that is he gave us heaps of facts and history about Ratang area and he taught us some Indonesian words. Our next big activity was Mount Kelamutu. From Ratang, we caught another shared taxi which took us to Ende. Ende is like this decently big city in Flores. We didn't really do that much. There's not heaps to see. It is a cool city, but we just hung out at our beautiful hotel before making our way to Moni. Moni is the closest town that you're gonna get to be able to do the Mount Kelamutu hike or see the volcano, which is why we decided to go there.
It's literally the town at the base of the mountain. The plan originally was to get up for a morning hike, which is what most people do when they're there. The weather didn't look that good. We were a little bit tired, so we decided to have breakfast in our hotel and go up later on in the morning. It was awesome. We again made a whole video about it, so you can definitely check that out.
If you didn't know, Mount Kelamutu is this famous volcano known for its 3 crater lakes that change color. Like they go from this really vibrant blue, milky green to brown, white, and red.
Getting there, you have pretty similar options to getting everywhere. You can rent your own moped, probably from your hotel, or you can organize a shared taxi, or we had to do a private taxi because there was no one else that wanted to go at the same time as us, so we ended up paying $45. He took us up to the trailhead, waited for us to go and hike for a couple of hours, and took us back. So not a crazy price for a few hours of having someone's time. Entry into the park was about $15 per person, and it was totally worth it. The hike itself probably only took us about 20 minutes.
And it's relatively easy, like it's not a steep, hard hike, it's a slow gradient up to the viewpoints.
Hot tip, don't have any food out when you're at the top because monkeys are crazy up there.
They are intense. They stole this other family's like whole lunch pack and was just shoveling in all the chocolate and the rice. It was so cute, but not good for the monkey, not good for the person who lost their lunch.
The other thing to do in Flores, and is also incredibly popular like any holiday to Indonesia, is just relaxing on the beach. We were lucky enough to do this twice, 2 in a row. The first was in a town called Mamare, which was another 2-hour drive from Moni. It's a beachside glamping resort. It was incredible. They had like vegetarian food made fresh.
Oh, this is one of my happy places, this resort. It was like a little beach hut that we had. The windows opened out right onto this uninterrupted view of the ocean. A 30-second walk away was the restaurant where you could get all the delicious food that was cooked so fresh that you had to order it a couple of hours before, and drinks and canoeing, stand-up paddleboarding.
Yeah, water sports, heaps of different water sports you could do there, and you can just take them out whenever you feel like it. It was really, really good. Once we finished there, we took another internal flight. This one was cancelled. This was This was the one that was cancelled and we had to rebook. That took us back to Labuan Bajo, where we got to go to La Pirate Island.
If you're going to Flores, you've probably heard about or are going to La Pirate Island. It is incredibly popular and it's easy to see why.
We did a video breaking down a few different options that you have when you go to the island. If you are interested in going there, I think you should watch that first. It does give you a lot of insight.
As well as what happens if you get stranded on the island.
Turns out we're staying another night whether we like to or not. There is a storm between us and Labuan Bajo and the currents are just too strong. The boat just said we're not coming, so...
The captain's like, it's not safe, I can't get there.
We wanted to finish the video with a few tips and things that we learnt along the way, which we think would be very, very handy and wish we knew before we went.
Good to know, tips and tricks.
If you don't have WhatsApp downloaded and logged in and ready to go, get it before you get to the island. Everyone there uses WhatsApp. It's a very official way to organize transfers and food, and like everything is done through WhatsApp.
Your hotel will ask you for your WhatsApp number, not your mobile number. To be able to make sure your WhatsApp works, you probably are gonna need a SIM card. We had every intention of buying a SIM card at Bali airport when we arrived, but we forgot. So we had to wait until we were in Labuan Bajo and we got a pretty good deal.
On the main street, there's a shop called Telkomsel. Go in there, they're probably the best. They may not be the absolute cheapest, but you're gonna be spending a couple more dollars for good coverage and a professional sort of service that you can trust. We got 2 SIM cards, just 6 gig each. We didn't need much and it only cost us $10 each.
We did end up upgrading my phone to get an extra 50 gig halfway along the trip, and that only ended up costing us about $25. Doing that upgrade, however, was very, very tricky. For some reason, the Telkomsel website doesn't let you just pay with a card. You have to use like a third party, which we couldn't get to work. Turned into this whole mess, but we ended up finding a third party called Ding, and that was the easiest way that we could upgrade the data.
Honestly, it feels so dodgy and like you're getting scammed, but it went through instantly, and if you're looking to do it, that's the best way. Because Telkomsel tell you to go to an ATM and punch in a code and deposit cash to top up, which I just thought was so weird.
We were also like at a hotel away from ATMs. There wasn't one near us, so that wasn't really an option.
Ding really saved the day. Drinking water. Drinking water can be a little bit confusing. You'll be served drinking water in some restaurants, and most of the time people are a bit scared of that if you're a foreigner. You don't want to get sick.
You don't want to get ice. You know all the general rules that you have for when you travel to Bali, just not get Bali belly. Obviously, you should probably bring all of those rules through to Labuan Bajo. Mosquitoes.
I don't officially know if they're more common than they are in Bali, but it feels like it.
We were getting eaten alive, and for some reason we didn't think to pack any mosquito spray or insect repellent, so we had to buy it when we were there. Almost every place you'll stay as well, apart from like the bigger hotels, are gonna give you a mosquito net. Just make sure you put that around you at night because it will make a difference.
Booking onto tours. Honestly, don't worry about it. If you're wanting something really specific, yes, you can book online, you can pay with Visa and get everything up front before you even get there, but if you're kind of wanting to go with the flow, don't be worried about just walking the main street of Labuan Bajo or talking to your hotel and getting stuff booked in. It's typically a little bit cheaper because they don't have to worry about converting any currency, and it's a lot easier to haggle. It's not just insert your card details, it's can you do this? Can you include this?
That guy down the road said he could do it for this price.
Yeah, ask if you are a haggler, obviously ask a few different people, play them off against each other. It feels like it's mean, but they get it.
Our general rule for haggling is if we're happy with the price, we're gonna pay it, whether or not it's a good price or whether we've overpaid. If we're happy, we're happy.
Yeah, we find the nicest person with a price that we're willing to pay, and that's good enough for us.
We were not there during peak season though, so you're just kind of gonna have to feel it out. If things are getting booked out, maybe book on quickly.
Yeah, if you're super worried about it, go ahead and book it.
The people, the local people across Flores are just amazing. They're so kind and happy to see you. There's endless smiles. They'll all be yelling out, "Hello miss, hello mister." It's so sweet. Oh, if you hear them yelling out bully, it means tourist or like vacationer, foreigner, something along those lines. So I kept hearing it and I was like, why do they think I'm a bully? I'm just saying hi. But I am a bully.
And it's not said as like, foreigner, foreigner. It's like, oh, a foreigner, a foreigner.
It's like they're yelling it out to tell the person up the road, like, look, wave to them, there's someone coming.
So you'll hear bully, bully, bully everywhere. Some good phrases to know.
Selamat pagi.
That means good morning.
That means good morning. This is what we yelled out when we were driving past people that were saying bully bully. We were like, Selamat pagi, especially obviously when it was in the morning. You can also shorten this. So like we would maybe just say morning, just say pagi.
Yeah. Thank you is something that you say all the time, and that is terima kasih.
Another interesting one that we learnt is hati-hati, and that means be careful.
Yeah, you get this mostly when you're driving.
Yeah.
Hati-hati, hati-hati. Like drivers will talk to each other on the road and like hati-hati.
Or there'll be a sign that says hati-hati. So if you've rented a motorbike or a car and you see that, just slow down, take it easy.
Those are a few things that we recommend you knowing when you get to Flores and you're exploring Labuan Bajo and Ratay and Moni and Kelamutu and Mamare. We did a few places.
Flores was such an amazing place to visit. It has this awesome blend of like adventure, fun things to relaxing and luxurious things, which is why we thought it was the perfect holiday.
If you're planning on going, don't think twice, just go.